If you want to move across borders today, whether to close a deal or find a hotel room, you are operating within a specific system. The world's largest corporate architectures have completely standardized their communication. Global giants, from Nokia and Samsung to Airbus, expect their employees to be fluent in English, mandating it as their official corporate language. In the sky, it is a legal mandate. Since 2008, the International Civil Aviation Organization requires all international pilots to be proficient in English. Looking closer, this network stretches across 50 countries. Over 2 billion people, 1/3 of the global population, rely on this language. Yet this global monopoly is surprisingly young. The language has existed for roughly 1,500 years, a tiny fraction of human history. How did a hyper-localized dialect, spoken by a few tribes on a damp island in the North Sea, manage to become the inescapable operating system of the modern world? In the 5th century AD, the inhabitants of the British Isles spoke Celtic languages. That changed when the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes crossed the North Sea from modern-day Germany and Denmark, forcing their own Germanic dialects onto the island to create what we now call Old English. Over the following centuries, the language survived not by repelling outside influence, but by aggressively absorbing the vocabularies of whoever conquered the island next. When Vikings arrived from Scandinavia in the 8th century, they brought Old Norse. English stripped it for parts, integrating everyday words like sky, knife, and egg. Then came 1066. French-speaking Normans conquered England, injecting more than 10,000 new words, like beef, justice, and liberty, and hardwiring the subject-verb-object structure into the local grammar. This early iteration of English was a chaotic, constantly shifting mashup of invader dialects. If you heard someone speaking it today, you wouldn't understand a single word. The linguistic chaos slowed in the 1440s. The invention of the printing press meant that to mass-produce text, printers had to establish rules. Spelling, punctuation, and grammar were strictly locked down. This forced alignment birthed the elements of modern English, turning a wild, localized dialect into a stable and highly exportable tool. With a standardized code, the island turned outward. The British Empire used brooding colonial expansion to push English across new continents, yet it aggressively absorbed local words, taking tobacco and hammock from Native Americans and shampoo and pajamas from Hindi-speaking regions. By the 20th century, the momentum was self-sustaining. The rise of new political superpowers, the explosion of the internet, and the reach of Hollywood media cemented English as the default global standard. It achieved this massive scale without possessing any inherent structural superiority over other languages. It succeeded by functioning as a highly adaptable vehicle for both military conquest and cultural assimilation. Because this language is now utilized so heavily across the globe, it has slipped out of England's control entirely, fracturing into heavily localized identities. British received pronunciation relies on non-rhotic speech. The final R sound in words like car is dropped. Across the Atlantic, American English hits that R hard, utilizing broader vowels and a simplified spelling system engineered by Noah Webster. In regions like India, decades of colonial influence merged with regional languages to form something entirely unique. Indian English features distinct dental qualities on T and D sounds, flatter intonations, and specialized vocabulary that exists nowhere else, like the word propone. And the base code continues to update itself. Every single year, roughly 4,000 new words are minted and added to the official dictionary. To speak English today is no longer about replicating a rigid, centuries-old dialect from Northern Europe. It is simply about logging into an expanding, highly dynamic network that is currently co-owned and operated by a